All right. I hope we're not dropping frames again. That was kind of scary back there, not gonna lie. Um, I lowered the bit rate, the target bit rate a little bit. Hopefully that makes the stream run a little bit better for you all. All right, so, unless we have any issues, I think we can get started here. I hope everyone's doing good today. I've got a real treat for you all. Got a real treat for you all today. Let me see here. Did that. Okay, yeah, I think we're ready to start. I just gotta put this in full screen. And I'm just gonna leave the overlay like that. Maybe close some stuff that I'm not using right now. Let's see here. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, we're gonna get started now. Hello everyone. It's FantasyJared, and today, again, we got a really great treat for you all today. We're gonna switch to the primary overlay. So, hello there. I'm gonna turn that off, and I'm going to go off of the assumption that you guys can see this. Yeah. Oh god. All right. Can you guys see the slideshow? Can I get some sort of verification? I just want to make sure this is working properly. I want to put in some, like, background music, but I don't want to get, like, copyright or anything. All right, perfect. Welcome to a beginner's primer to Animators Hell. I am your host for this stream. I'm FantasyJared. Actually, I should probably go to the next slide now. Guess who's back? I am the self-proclaimed Animators Hell God WIP. Don't ask me what that means. I don't think I know either. This is a really sick game. I'm very excited to share it with you all today. I've been playing it a lot lately, and I decided to make an entire guide just for you guys, because that's how much I love this game. Now, I'm gonna start this primer by what the fuck? Why did I go back? Well, okay, I don't even know what it's doing anymore. I'm gonna ask you all a question. Do you hate video games with randomness? Screwing you over because the game said so. Screwing you over because the game just didn't want you to win, right? That's bullshit. Do you hate trial and error? Losing to the same thing over and over again just because you didn't have it memorized. Losing time and time again to the same part of that stage or the same boss pattern because you didn't know how to counter it. That's bullshit, right? You guys feel me there? And do you hate bad difficulty curves? That's right. Improper difficulty balancing. Hardest shit in the first stage of the game? No, that's bullshit. All right, I don't know what it's doing. But yes, that's terrible. But what if I told you that there exists a game out there, an angelic force that combats these forces of darkness, this RNG, trial error, bad difficulty curves? What if I told you that there exists an indie horror game that dodges all three of these and manages to be something worth its salt? But it's actually good, I swear. I still don't know what the purpose of the slide is, actually. I just kind of made it for fun. But yes, this is Animators Hell. And that's what this stream is going to be all about. I am a pretty big fan. I've been playing it for the past few weeks, and I still don't know why it's doing that. Jesus. Why is it screwing up? I don't know. Oh yeah. So, I hope you all are ready. Abandon your human dignity. Throw away your decency. And join the cult today. This, my friends, is Animators Hell. And I still don't know why the slideshow is doing that. I'm gonna have to alt-tab to read the chat for the first part of the stream. I hope no one minds that. Luigi said. But yes, welcome to Animators Hell. We're gonna switch here a bit. So, what is this game and why should I play it? So, Animators Hell is an indie horror fan game based off of Five Nights at Freddy's, but it's also very much its own thing. Every single character, monster, animatronic, whatever you want to call them, they are based off of a real-life SFM animator. And it's pretty wicked. There's 27 characters right now. There's going to be at least 3 more in the future. Development is nearly finalized, but there's still a few things to look forward to. Now, one of the things that really makes this game what it is the skill-based nature of it. Animators Hell is probably the least RNG-reliant game I can think of in a long, long time. Everything has a pattern to it, and though there is variance in their patterns, more on this later, there's very little randomness you have to account for. Now, you heard me bitching about this in the little PowerPoint thing. I think Five Nights at Freddy's Superplayer Ambience said it best. There are 3 pillars of bad game design that a lot of these Five Nights at Freddy's fan games fall into. Randomness, trial and error, and difficulty curves, or rather the lack thereof. Random patterns, again, losing because it's not your fault. Trial and error, losing because you just didn't know something that the game expected you to know. And improper difficulty balancing, leading for the game's balance to feel kind of all over the place in terms of difficulty. So yeah. The game, as you guys are going to see shortly here, when I open up the game, personality and production value. I'm not just the whole stream is not just going to be this notepad document. You will see when I start playing the game. It has so much charm. It has so much personality, and it's surprisingly well made. Like really, really well made, I think. Multifaceted and fast-paced. It is an evolution of the gameplay loop. Now, you're probably wondering what that means, right? So, a lot of Five Nights at Freddy's games have what's called a gameplay loop, and there's nothing wrong with this. It just means you're generally doing the same tasks in a repetitious fashion to survive. A lot of you guys are probably familiar with the first Five Nights at Freddy's. You know, the lights, the monitor, the doors, or maybe Five Nights at Freddy's 2, the music box, the Freddy mask, and the flashlights. And the vents as well, technically. The vent lights. So the cool thing about this game is that it doesn't really have a gameplay loop because every second of gameplay is something different. You're not just going through the same motions over and over. You're constantly switching between chaotic threats. And any one of those 27 chaotic threats may very well screw you over at any time if you're not ready for them. And Mince is going to love to hear this one. Surprisingly routable. Now, again, I will go into this further later. I will. But for the sake of the introduction, I wanted to mention this. The game can be, to an extent, routed. Now, I don't want to act like you can memorize everything that happens, but there is Memorization will help you here. There are patterns that you can pick up on and use those to help you in the future. Again, for the sake of consistency, I'll go into this more later on, but that is very, very important to know. Now, let's get the game started. So I will switch to the game capture. Notepad stream, let's go. Let me check something here. If it's not going to take too long, could I change the settings because I can't chat? Oh, I'm sorry about that. Let me try fixing that for you, Ty. Chat appearance, pause chat, followers only chat, 5 seconds. Just gonna fix something really quick here. Switch to non-mod settings. Chat filters, no, that's not it. Chat appearance. Let me see here. Chat rules, that's not it. Mod actions, so messages coming, that's not it. Chat, chat highlight default, no, that's not it. Damn it. Not really sure how to change that midstream. Shoots. Okay. I have an idea. This is gonna sound really weird, but Ty, if you're listening to this right now, would you be able to join a VC by any chance? I feel like that might be a nice workaround. I'll open up the game here while I wait. Game capture, Animators hell. Here we go. I'll change the window really quick. That should look pretty good, I think. Something like that. Oh wait, let me get the audio working for my... Damn it, OBS, I swear to God, OBS. I think my headphones turned off. Okay, here we go. Jeez. Okay, that should work. No? Alright. Troubleshooting. Nice. Here are DMs. Let me think for a second. I'm getting a quick audio issue. I'm pretty sure if I boot up the game again, it'll pick it up. The audio. Okay, there we go, yeah. Alright, sick. So that's working. Alright. So I can do one of two... Actually, yeah. Yeah, on second thought, yeah. Let's do in DMs, I think. I think that'll work better. I'm gonna move out of the Shrine of Ambience server. For the sake of this. Just so I can let a friend join. Alright, call me whenever you're ready, Ty. I appreciate all the viewers for being patient. Oh.
Hi, Jared.
Oh. Delay, what's up?
Hey. What's happening?
Oh, let me lower the volume a little bit so I can actually hear you.
Alright.
Okay, since someone joined, I have a new idea. Ty, this is gonna sound pretty weird, but would you mind if just for this, I invited you to a server? And I like... Yeah, one of my friends, basically what's happening is one of my friends, can't chat because I have a setting on that, that basically makes it so that, for some reason he can't chat. Let me just send you an invite, and I'll have someone move you into the VC. Alright, so let me just get him in the chat really quick. So...
Okay. Wait, let me just pull something up. Twitch...
Yo!
DJ and Animators hell, let's go.
Let's go, Animators Hell Gaming.
Yo.
This is good friends
Super
Insta and Soul.
Hey Soul, how you doing?
Hi Insta, I'm fine.
Think
Glad to hear that.
Ty. Just let me know when you've joined the server, and I can have an admin move you into the channel we're in.
Oh yeah, I can
Yeah.
talk to like Hyper or Zach about it. They'll immediately move him.
Yeah.
All right, I'm
Okay.
feeling good about this.
Can you move Ty? Do you have a server nickname? Because I can't spot you by adding you. Let me see, actually. You should be in the little welcome. Again, thanks to everyone for being patient.
Whoa, there you
Here
go.
we go.
Hi George.
George.
Yo,
People are actually joining. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm currently having
Echo.
brunch right now.
Oh, that's cool.
Having
love brunch.
sausages and pancakes just because, you
I
know.
love sausage. That didn't
Yes.
sound correct.
Yeah, that sounded weird.
Yeah.
Stay quiet. Stay quiet. I've never said anything.
Yeah, I
Okay,
finished Hell's Carnival, so time to do some.
Everyone
stuff.
knows though, Insta. It is on file now.
Alright, so we are doing the 1 hour thing again.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, Insta.
Alright, 1 hour thing.
Didn't you already
I-
do it last time?
No, because it failed. RNG failed me.
Skill issue.
Oh, Shooter's playing Haunted! I wanna go. Dude. I'm
You really love
laughing
Haunted.
playing- Oh yes, it's my favorite game in the franchise.
I can see that.
Arguably-
Yeah. I mean, it's good.
Arguably my favorite game in the franchise.
It's really
like,
good. It's amazing.
And not even like excluding mobile ports or flat mode, like just fave. Fave. I speedrun this so much. Alright, timer starts once I... Wait, let me get something straight.
Yeah.
Okay, we're fine.
Yeah, just join a random VC, Ty. It doesn't matter. You can join Streaming 1, for example.
Alright, so timing starts once I press buttons and the triple record starts. Which
There
we
is
go.
right
Yo,
now.
Ty.
Hello,
There
Ty.
Hello. I'll try to catch up in the... You can talk in the VIP streaming channel. You should see it at the bottom. Oh, wait. That's right. He doesn't have the permission. I guess,
Oh, fuck.
talking Streaming 1. That
Yeah.
should... Yeah, that should work. Yeah, Streaming 1. Yo. Alright, we'll get started now. So, I think the game capture is on. So, the first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna go into just how the game works. So, how to play it and stuff. That would be pretty important, right?
Okay, so immediately I know the combination and bam. That was good enough. Actually,
Alright.
listen, you know what? I'm doing that again. you see, you have to be good with this game.
Yeah.
Alright.
So,
Alright, and since I'm a good player.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually gonna mute. Yeah, I'm actually gonna mute so I can concentrate on this a little bit.
Yeah, no problem. Good luck, Insta.
Look, Insta.
So, oops. I don't want to cut anybody off. So the first thing to note is the night length in this game is 6 minutes. If you're unfamiliar with Five Nights at Freddy's, you have to survive a night shift until 6 a.m. So 1 minute per in-game hour for a 6 minute long night total in real time, which is pretty short. Pretty in between on the shorter end of the spectrum when it comes to FNaF games. That's very important to note. I'll talk a little bit about the controls next and the recommended setup that I would choose for this game. So obviously, you really want a mouse for this game. You want a good, decent pair of headphones. Don't play this game on speakers. It's going to be pretty distracting. It's going to be hard to pick up on important audio cues. You want a good keyboard, preferably a QWERTY keyboard, but if you don't have that, that's fine. You'll just have to figure some of the quirks with that out on your own, unless Soul, you have a non-QWERTY keyboard, right? If you
Yeah,
want
I have an
to
AZERTY
make any
keyboard.
input on
It's
that
kind of
while
a
I'm...
mess for this game,
Yeah.
to be honest. So I recommend just switching to QWERTY if you're gonna play this game with an AZERTY keyboard.
Yeah. You can
You
still
can do
play
it
it with a
with Alt
non-QWERTY.
Shift, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know.
Right. And I'll talk a little bit about finger placement once we get to controls. So I'll just start a random night. None of the monsters on. We're not going to worry about them. That's actually a... I think that's a little Easter egg. It's a little occasional jump
Easter
scare.
egg, yeah.
So, left click moves you through the cameras and... actually, let's start a little bit slower. This is your office. You have a left door, a right door, and 3 vents. A left vent, a middle vent, and a right vent. You have a window, 2 of them, actually. One on your left and right. This is your computer, which you use to access your monitor. More on that later. And you can
Which
also
game
do
are you
a...
talking about?
Oh, Animator cell.
Oh, okay.
There is a little plushie here. They say something secret happens if you click its nose 20 times, but I won't be doing that on the stream. Or maybe I will, actually, in case I need to, well, you know.
No, don't do it. They need to figure it out from themselves.
Yeah. Play on controller, Ponyco. Right, so left click is for the cameras. You can left click to move through the different cameras. It also is a way to deal with one of the monsters, more on him later. The right click button, this is your flashlight. This is very, very important as well. You use this to ward off a few very, very important monsters in particular. Once again, I'll get to the characters later. But yeah, right click for the flashlight. That sounds pretty awkward at first. You have to hold it down, but you get used to it. It's not actually that bad. Spacebar is the monitor. So, pretty weird button, but it gets comfortable pretty quick. You can move through the cameras with Shift and CTRL. There are 3 different floors. The first floor, the basement, and the vent systems. The first floor is home to a few pretty important cameras. Cam 6 probably being the... Oh! Yo, Toter! Thank you so much for the follow! Not just any Toter, the Toter. Holy shit.
The Toter.
He's trying for Twisted 27 right now, I think. He's like a god at this game. And where the heck did my cursor go? Ooh! Ooh!
He went to Brazil.
Yeah, that's a weird thing about this game. Sometimes your cursor goes off screen if you like.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. So, as I was saying, there's a few important cameras here. Most important is probably Cam 6. This is the boiler room. So, every minute and 30 seconds in real time, so 3 times per night, the boiler will go off. Now, what does that mean? The temperature of your room will start increasing at a very rapid pace. And this, causes some of the monsters to be a little bit more aggressive. So, generally speaking, you want to keep the room as cool as possible. And how do you keep the room cool? You reset the boiler when it goes off. Or else the room's going to get really hot and you're not going to have a fun time. Trust me on that. I speak from experience. There's Cam 3, Cams 8B, 8A, 4. Lots of very useful cameras that you will grow to love and hate depending on your relationship with some of the monsters. I'd say the only cameras you're not really going to end up using are cameras 1, 2, 5, and 9. Oh, no, wait, 9. 9 is very important, actually. It's just 1, 2, and 5. At least with lower intermediate level presets, I haven't really used them too much yet, but I might be wrong about that. Feel free to correct me on that. So, now that we've talked about that, alright, the other controls. A is the left vent, W is the middle vent, D is your right vent, Q is your left door, and E is your right door. So, I think that's all the controls for now. Oh, and there's the arrow keys for one of the characters I'll once again get into later. So with finger placement, which actually is pretty important, I'm kind of going about things vaguely right now, but one when you're starting out on this game, I recommend having your left ring finger on A, your middle finger on W, and your right index finger on D. That way you get clean access to all 3 of the vents. And you're probably wondering, what about the doors? I'm going to say something kind of weird right now. Don't worry about the doors when you're starting this game. There's only like 3 characters in this game that actually make use of the doors. I want to say Valentina, Abigail, Tranquility, and there's one more, I think. Comet. Yeah. None of those you're going to worry about for a while, so freaking stop going off, Boiler. Jesus. Oh yeah, important to note about the Boiler. You cannot switch to other cameras while resetting the Boiler. You have to stay on the camera, although you can close the camera. So, do take advantage of that. Well, whenever you reset the Boiler, it's good to get into the habit of just immediately closing the monitor to deal with stuff in your office. So, you know, Ender, Spider, Cortez, more on them later.
Speaking of the boiler, apparently Toader just said that if the temperature is too high, the power will start draining rapidly, which I didn't know, so...
Really? Oh shit,
Apparently,
that's really useful to know, actually. Thank you, Toader.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, let's go through the basements next. Now this looks pretty fucking confusing, doesn't it? There are 6 basement cameras here. All of these that you have the night vision for, this is all for one animatronic. His name is Fruki. Once again, we're not talking about characters yet, but that's pretty important to note. B7 and BA, that's for one of them as well. B9, this is for Daisian, and I didn't think the night would end this early, oh dear. This is B8. I don't use this for anything yet, but there might be one of the harder monsters that you would find lurking in there. Probably Comet, come to think of it.
No, it's Terrence, I think.
No, Terrence is B7, and
Oh, okay.
what was it? The other one I was just on, B8? Let me check, actually. BA. Yeah. So we're going to start another silly night here, since I didn't get to finish. Like I said, Shift moves you forward through the cameras, and CTRL moves backward. Do get used to that. That is very, very useful. You don't want to be constantly shifting through every single camera, like, one at a time. It's generally best to, you know, if you need to go to the vents, just click CTRL. Or if you want to go back to the main area from the vents, just click Shift. Saves you a lot of headache. Good pro tip. So yeah, B9 is Daisian. BA, BB, and BC all belong to one monster. His name is Ooblik. Very, very important to note, a lot of newcomers don't really get this because the game doesn't really tell you. I will say that is, on kind of a minor tangent, this game is great at many things, but one of its fewest weaknesses is that it's not the best at explaining things right now. So, if you see this little lightning bolt here, this little blue thunder icon, that is your power generator. You really, really want to know about this thing. It raises the temperature of the room by 10 degrees, but don't worry about that too much because it saves, I think 10% flat power total if you leave it on for the entire night. This thing is going to be your godsend for lower and intermediate level presets. I would highly recommend starting every single night with it on until you get to the really advanced characters. More on that later. So yes, power generator, very, very important. Don't worry too much about the higher temperature. 70 degrees isn't bad. It's only bad if it gets to, like, above 80 degrees. That's when things start getting particularly nasty. And then finally, you have the vent systems. VB, V1, VA, and V2. These are all for different animatronics, but there's only one of each in these. So V2 is Drago, VA is Frisk, V1 is Sunny, and VB is Breddy. Just thought that would be kind of useful. And that's pretty much it with the controls. Just, you have a flashlight, spacebar. The controls are kind of weird at first. There's definitely a bit of a learning period, but it's not as awkward as it looks. Once you just kind of start playing, you get pretty comfy with it pretty quickly, I'd like to think. So that explains the camera system and the boiler. Now there's only one more mechanic to explain, and that is external power. The power generator isn't the only thing you can turn on, although for the sake of introducing this game, that's pretty much all you need to know for now, but I thought I would explain this anyway. There is a stairs door and an elevator door that you can also direct your power to. This is useful for one animatronic. His name is Terrence. He shows up on B7 and BA. Another kind of advanced level character, not because he's really that difficult to deal with, but more because he uses a lot of mechanics that you're not going to be familiar with starting out. So that's why I recommend kind of ignoring these just for now while you're starting the game. You also have a light bulb here. This handles one of the animatronics, Daisian. So that you can use that to ward him off every so often. And that's all the external power. Stairs door, elevator door, light bulb, power generator. Another thing that's kind of important to note is when you're looking through the basement cameras that turns off the power generator, you have to double click on the camera or else you won't see anything. So I'm going to double click B5 here and you'll notice the night vision turns on. Again, these 6 cameras are all just for Fruki. But you're pretty much going to ignore the basement. That is a huge piece of advice I have to beginners who play this game. Just ignore the basement floor entirely and focus on the main area and the vents. Because those are where the real problems are. Learning control is your favorite. Yeah, pretty much the only things left to note are the camera beacon and the audio decoy. So, using the camera beacon costs 1% power every time you use it. It went down by 2 there because, I don't know, the game was being weird. Trust me, it's 1% power, look at that. So, you can use this to ward off quite a number of animatronics, including but not limited to Shadows, Drago, BW1 and George, etc. It's very, very, very useful tool. It activates instantly. It has a pretty short cooldown cooldown too. So I wouldn't say spam it, but it's definitely a very nice tool. And then you have the audio decoy. You can play this on a camera and it will ward off one of, again, a good number of animatronics, including but not limited to Frisk, Death Horse, who else? Audio decoy. Are they really it? I know there's like at least one more. I'm forgetting right now.
I'm not sure as well.
But yeah, we'll get into that later.
Also, never use audio in Cam 4, you will die.
Well, yes and no. One of the monsters, I'll go into that later. It is a good piece of advice, though. Just trust us on this. Don't use audio in Cam 4. I will go into that later. Yeah, that explains the basic system, and we can start moving on to the characters and monsters, which is pretty much the same thing. I don't know why I specified both. But that is all you need to know about the layout of the game. I didn't want to overload, like, too much on everyone at the same time with, like, you know, monsters, controls. Oh, by the way, this animatronic does this, and then this button does this.
Yo, 6 AM, let's go, you won.
For every
Rick's very
animatronic
disappointed.
he is. For every animatronic you turn on, you get 100 points. If you have all of them on, you get 2,700. Although you probably don't want all of them on, unless your name is Frogger27 or Tartar25. So maybe God of FNaF. But that's like the super players.
And maybe Jared as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's actually just Frisk and BW1 and George. I thought there was more, honestly. But yeah. So
Death Horse as well. Oh no, for the beacon? For the audio.
the audio decoy.
Yeah, there's Death Horse as well.
Yeah, Death Horse. Oh wait, why did I say BW1? That's camera beacon.
Yeah.
But yeah. So now that we've gone through that, we can into the characters. So, I'm going to first do a very basic overview. So very, very basic. Just showing like who I think are the easier to learn characters, harder to learn characters, so on and so forth. And then I'm going to go into a section called Best Sets for Learning. And that's going to go into a bunch of sets that I would recommend having on when you're learning the game for the first time. So the beginner level the beginner level friendly characters Jesus, are as follows. Ender. Ender is the catalyst for everything in this game. He is the first one I would recommend turning on. You really need to get used to his mechanic as soon as possible. We have Brady, who is the animatronic who follows the left vent. He doesn't make any audio cues, so you do need to keep track of him. More on him later. Cortez. I have a lot to say about this guy, but basically, you see him in your office and you shine your light on him to ward him off. Let me see here. Spider and Pixel. Again, very, very important, not really terribly difficult characters to learn at all. In fact, I'd consider them the easiest characters to learn in the game, or at least among them. Next up, we have kind of a trio here. Sunny, Ewok, and Drago. They all have to deal with temperature. Let's see. Half Skull and BW1 and George. These 10 characters here are the beginner-friendly characters. If you're going to learn the game for the first time, I would recommend starting with these 10. But you're probably still wondering, how do they work exactly, and how do I go about learning them? And, well, that's what the next section is for. So let's turn them off. The intermediate level characters in this game are Luna. You hear his laughter, so an audio cue, and he will show up in one of your vents. You just close the vent door. Actually, yeah, for the sake of brevity, I'll just do all the character explaining in the best sets for learning, because that just makes the most sense, so we can kind of speed along here. Right, intermediate level characters, Luna, Tornado, Gemini, Death Horse, Axie, Zaplord, Pangle, and Night Marina. I would recommend turning these characters on once you get to 1,100 points and higher. Very, very logical next step for intermediate level players who have definitely gotten a good feel for the game and want more of a challenge. I am a character in this game. Yo, Luna's a character. There are the advanced level characters. Valentina, Shadows, Terrence, Ooblik, Dejin, Fruki, and Frisk. You're going to turn these characters on when you really, really know what you're doing, and you have very deep knowledge about the game. I would not recommend turning any of these on whatsoever if you're new to the game. I wouldn't even recommend these for like 1,000 point presets. Maybe Valentina for a 1,900 point preset, but yeah. Of course, this is all pretty flexible. This is very dependent on preference, but I strongly believe that there is kind of a difficulty hierarchy here. And then the last tier. Don't ever turn these two on. Don't turn these characters on. Seriously, they suck.
They suck.
These are the last characters that... Shadows. These two, I would only recommend turning on if you are literally, like, a god at this game, and Twisted 25 is not enough for you for some reason. Holy crap. So yeah, don't touch Comet, and don't touch Abigail and Tranquility. They are nasty. Well then, they must be... they must be for you, Ty. Yes. Less than I.
Well, they don't seem that bad on their own, but they're terrible and everything else, so yeah.
Yeah.
Don't touch them, just leave them be.
And a lot of characters don't seem that bad on their own. Perfect example, Frisk. He seems very manageable and not that big of a deal on his own. But when you have a bunch of other characters turn on, you get to 4 a.m., 5 a.m., you're sweating bullets, and then this fucker shows up in your right vent, and he makes like 3 movements in 5 seconds. It's nasty.
Yeah, you can guess what happens next.
Yeah. So yeah, that's, in my opinion, the kind of difficulty hierarchy of the game. And now we can get into the real meat and potatoes of this guide, the best sets for learning, with an asterisk. Again, depending on your personal preference, there is flexibility to this. This is not a hardwired, you have to use these characters in the start of the game. Like, you can play this however you like. Some people struggle with different characters. Some people think characters are a lot easier than I might think. But this is, I think, I talked about this with some of the players, and we generally agreed that this is a good order to learn the game. So, start with Ender, Brittany, and Cortez. These are the first characters we're going to be talking about. We're going to hop into a night here, and we're going to see how it goes.
You're not gonna say the name of the presets that we made up. Kind of sad.
Oh yeah, that's right. I still have them actually. These, my friends, are the quality quintessentials. These are the characters that I would highly, highly, highly recommend starting with because they teach you really, really great things. So right at the start of the night, we're gonna pop right into the basement to put on the power generator, and then we're going to ignore the basement for the rest of the night. So let's talk about Ender first. You're probably noticing these roots on the left and right of my screen. Every frame, I think? I don't know the exact specifics, but they keep rising throughout the entire night. There's nothing you can do to stop them from rising. The only thing you can do is use your flashlight to make them shrink. This is the big catalyst of this game. Ender is the catalyst of Animator's Hell. Because he is the only character in the entire game that forces you into your office. Oh, okay, there's Zaplord too, technically. But you can also technically do Zaplord's minigame in the camera, although I would not recommend doing that, but more on Zaplord later. I'm getting kind of ahead of myself here. So yeah, you use your flashlight to make the roots shrink, and if the roots get too high, well, you get jump scared. I'm going to be saying that a lot throughout this stream. You do actually have quite a bit of leeway. As you can see, I'm still not dead yet somehow. Right about... yeah. And then Brady killed me.
There's a fire in me. A fire that desires to feed on the pain.
So yeah, Ender is really important catalyst. He's the main character. He's going to be the primary reason why you want to lower your monitor, and the primary reason why you don't want to camp in your cameras too much. I'll play a little bit more seriously here since I forgot about Brady. But yeah, pretty simple, right? Just use your flashlight to shrink his roots, and that's all there is to it. You're going to be coming back to this all the time throughout the night to check on those roots, so very important. Next, let's talk about Brady. He shows up in your left vent. He is a silent character. He doesn't make any audio cues. You have to check the VB ventilation camera. He has 3 different phases. Hi, Cortez. 3 different phases. He's in phase 1 right now, which means... oh, he's already in phase 2. So he's getting closer.
Brady?
Yeah, Brady.
Yeah, Brady. Okay.
Oh,
I hate him
3
personally.
phases. 3 phases. Oh. Does he have 4? Maybe he has 4 phases. I could be wrong.
No, yeah, he has
Brady
only
has
3.
4 phases, but he moves really quickly. So until you check the first phase and flip down the cameras, he's probably in a second phase. So be careful for him.
Yeah, he moves between phases very, very fast, like Insta said. And once you hear that knocking on your vent, let me actually turn up the game volume just a little bit so you guys can hear it a little better. Or at least that's what I would have said if I could... some of the Ultimate Custom style games have this weird mouse cursor issue, so I'll do that after the night. But yeah, you can hear the little vent banging.
I mean, it's
sound
really
cue.
distinct, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how you deal with Brady. Just check on him very often. If he's in his 3rd phase, which means he's very close but not like in your face close, then you can probably just shut the left vent and we're gonna reset the boiler here. Yeah, just shut the left vent and wait for him.
He's gonna quickly move into the other one, and he's gonna quickly move into 4th phase, and just you're gonna be done with him. He's gonna knock into the vents, and you're gonna be fine.
Yeah. Another important thing to note about Brody is that he's kind of a camper. Once he's in his 4th phase, so that means he's about to attack. Yeah, that phase right there. Watch how long it takes for him to actually attack me. Just watch.
Yeah, that's just really... he's a real camper, and he's gotten me killed plenty of times because of that.
There he is.
Yeah, and he's easy to forget as well, so...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
the reason I recommend learning Brady is because he's going to be a big reason why you're using the monitor in the first place. You cannot get around it. You need to check on his position. You could try understanding his general attack variants, his attack patterns, but that's way more on that later when I actually start talking about attack patterns. And finally, we could talk about Cortez a little bit. Say hello to Cortez. He's smiling for you guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
He appears at the side of your camera, or sorry, the little computer there. And a good thing to note about him is that he's not actually immediately lethal. He only kills you if you flip up your monitor. So, the reason why Cortez exists is to counter monitor spamming. You do not want to monitor spam in this game. Flash him with your light and move on with your life.
This is the second time I've screwed up on the second level, and I'm so mad. Dude, like it's hard to not screw up.
Relatable.
It is actually difficult to make it not. I want to make it not seem difficult because it really is not, but it is. It's at the same time.
Yeah. And that's pretty much everything I have to say about these three. So two of them involve the flashlights, Ender and Cortez. Again, if you see Cortez by your computer, you need to flash him or he will kill you immediately.
Right on the eyes, by the way.
Yeah,
Right on the
it's
eyes.
kind of precise. It's a little awkward, but you learn to get used to it. And then keep an eye on Brady. Again, he's going to be a big reason why you're using the cameras at all. There are a lot of characters that you're going to be using the monitor for. In fact, the monitor is extremely... Can I just say really quick? The monitor is super useful in this game. You're going to be using it during most of the gameplay. You will be in your monitors. I'm just going to let Cortez kill me here so we can move along a little bit quicker here.
Soon there'll be only darkness, and that darkness will be your everything.
Oh gosh, of course.
I'll turn up the game volume just a little bit.
Mess that up.
Oh yeah, a lot. Holy crap, it's so quiet. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
There we go. That should be a little bit louder for you guys. Alright. So, the next thing, once you've learned Ender, Brady, and Cortez, we're going to move on to who I consider the simple staples of this game. We're going to learn about Spider and, of course, Pixel.
Oh, Pixel.
Pixel, my
Pixel.
not
Does she
so
remind you of
beloved.
somebody?
Also, apologies. From this point onward in the stream, I will give a jump scare warning. At least whenever I can. Since I made the volume of the stream a lot louder, I
When
don't
you
want
sure to
anyone
play this
getting...
game, you're gonna get jump scared a lot anyway, so...
Indeed.
Yeah.
That is true.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I
Oh,
mean
yeah.
a lot, I mean a
Power
lot.
generator.
Yes. A lot.
This game
Flash
is
Cortez.
difficult.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's not the easiest.
That's
Mhm.
why we have a guide.
Yo.
So, you know how to deal with Ender, Flash's roots. You know how to deal with Cortez, Flash's eyes. And we know how to deal with Brady. Watch his camera closely. And when he's in his fourth phase, when he's basically breathing into the fucking vent, he's going to attack you. Now we can start learning... we can start learning about Spider and Pixel. So, Pixel is a huge catalyst for the monitors in this game. For those of you familiar with Five Nights at Freddy's 2, this will sound right at home to you. There's a music box that you have to wind continuously through the entire night.
Oh, yes.
And if you don't keep it wound, Pixel is going to murder you. So
Make sure
keep
you're
it
not
wound.
audio on the camera.
Yeah. I will explain that in a moment. So you're probably noticing there's a little spider under my desk here. I'm gonna switch changes for a moment and talk a bit about Spider. So Spider, how he works is, again, every so often you'll see a spider under your desk. Just click it, left click it with your mouse, and the spider goes away. So you can go into the monitor again. The spider is non-lethal. It won't kill you. Arachnophobia warning, by the way. If you let the spider, if you flip up the monitor, kind of like Cortez, you don't want to flip up the monitor when you see these things. You want to take care of them first. So prioritize Cortez, then Spider, then Ender, or depending on emergencies, you might want to prioritize Ender. But yeah, if you flip up the monitor with the spider, you're gonna get this fucker on your screen for the rest of the night. They do stack up to 3 times, and on the 4th spider, there is not a 4th spider, just the spider himself is gonna come and kill you. And that's what happens when you jump scare warning.
Come to my halls full of music. Escape from this empty tomb.
Okay, at least I got one world record.
That's what happens when you don't have the music box wound, so that's a great lesson for everyone here. Insta
Get some
mentioned...
Kirby game over music so you can get ready for the jump scare.
Yeah. So Insta mentioned, a very weird oddity with Pixel is that, she will kill you instantly if you use the audio decoy on her camera, so it's very easy to misclick, and like when you're panicking in the moment, your mouse is kind of shaky, accidentally click audio decoy, and Pixel kills you. Happens all the time. Don't let that happen. Don't be silly.
Yeah, be careful with the sensitivity and with how close your button is.
It definitely didn't happen to me at like 4 AM. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, really? It never happened to you?
Yeah, I clicked the button accidentally. And I died.
No, it never happened to you. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. What am I saying? Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah. So once you're good at 500 points, I'd say you have a pretty good feel for the basics of the game. We're going to introduce what I like to call the temperature tantrum trio alliteration thing. So, turn on Sunny, Drago, and Ewok.
Ew, this is gonna be the most ugly triple world record ever.
You might want to turn
Okay.
off the others just to showcase these, because...
Yeah.
This is still... Maybe I'll turn off Brady just to be less annoying, but
Yeah,
I don't
'cause
mind
Brady
dealing with
sucks.
the others that much.
But I mean, Brady goes
so
faster with
behind.
temperature, but... No.
Yeah, you know what? I'll leave him on. It's not that big of a problem. So, Ewok is... actually, no. Sunny is the first character we're going to talk about. So all of these 3 characters you probably guessed have something to do with temperature. Sunny is kind of a counterpart to Brady. She appears in the Vent 1 camera every single time, and she has, unlike Brady, 3 different phases as opposed to 4. Her first phase is you're going to see her little head sticking out. We're going to take care of the music box, do our basic post-camera phase stuff, and everything's going to be fine. Flash Cortez, deal with Spider. You can already kind of get the hang of the feel. Oh, this is Sunny Phase 1. You're going to hear a little ventilation sound effect. I actually didn't catch it back there. She's pretty creepy. She's staring at me with those doll eyes. She scares me. You hear that noise? That sharp metallic clashing? That means she's in either Phase 2 or 3. So this is Sunny Phase 2. You see that little pose there? That means she's going to attack fairly soon. And that's the cue for Drago. I will talk about him more in a little bit. Use your camera beacon on him and hi, Ender.
Okay.
So, that right there, that audio cue, that means she's in Phase 3. This is what Sunny Phase... Oh. She attacked so quickly I didn't even get to show you guys your Phase 3. What the fuck, Sunny? I was trying to show the viewers. No!
Basically,
This is
she's
awful.
really close and has like black eyes, and she's very scary, and you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can explain Ewok a little bit. You'll see this character. Her name's Ewok. She shows up on the cam 6. She will melt if the temperature is, I think, at least 80 degrees or higher.
80, yeah.
90, 90, 90.
Oh, 90?
I thought
Yeah,
they
it's
buffed her,
90,
actually.
definitely.
I thought they buffed her to 80. Like 81.
Oh,
Yeah, I
I
think
don't
so.
think they did.
Huh.
Is there an update that released?
Toter, if
I
you
don't
could
know.
confirm.
Pretty sure it's 90.
Yeah, that'd
Yeah,
be pretty
I'm
useful
not
to know.
sure. I can neither confirm nor deny this, because I'm not really Animator's help player soon enough.
I'm pretty sure it's 80, but I could be wrong. But basically, yeah, you don't want the room to get too hot or she'll start melting, and if she melts completely, well, she'll kill you. So it's good to get in the habit of resetting the boiler quickly. Yeah, that's Sunny Phase 3 right there. Look at that shit-eating grid. She attacks very quickly. I forgot to mention that earlier, but like I was saying, she's a bit of a counterpart to Brady. She is a bit slower to get to her final phase, but she attacks and leaves much faster. So that's good to know. If you hear vent banging, she was probably the one who left first. It's a good rule of thumb. Drago will appear in Vent 2. If you don't attend to him, he doesn't kill you, he's non-lethal, but he will raise the temperature of the entire office, the entire building, to 80 degrees. In fact, let's test the little Ewok thing right now. 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89.
It's just 90.
She hasn't melted yet. Okay, she started melting.
At like 81? Oh,
I'll be
80,
right
like
back.
9.
She's still melting. She's almost completely done melting.
While you're in VC, can you like tell us like at what temperature Ewok starts melting? Because we're not.
I think it is 90.
You think?
The seeds of your failure continue to sprout.
Ender killed you. I never got jump scared by Ender.
Ewok starts
Yeah,
melting at 90. Okay, I'm sorry, I was wrong then. So 90. You do have a bit more leeway with her than I thought. Important to note about Sunny is that she has a special property. Like the description says, if the building's temperature is higher than 80, she will literally never leave your vent. So, again, more incentives to reset the boiler as soon as possible. I forgot to say this as well. Actually, did I? Oh, whatever. Brady gets more aggressive the hotter the building is, so be wary of that. And Drago, Drago's audio cue is, if you hear what I can best describe as kitchen noises, like a little bit of clanging and clashing, vague clashing in a vent, then yeah, that's Drago. He usually appears a little bit after Sunny, and Brady are in phase like 3 or 4. So just before like 1 a.m. They're all pretty simple characters, relatively easy to deal with. Very, very good to learn early on. And now we're going to switch gears a little bit here into the final 1,000 point characters. So these are the Dangerous Distractions characters. I have little cheesy names for all of these presets here. This is...
I like the names.
Yes. Half Skull and BW1 and George. So these two are a little bit different. Both of them are technically non-lethal. They do not kill you. But they have side effects, let's say, that you probably don't want to deal with. So I'll show that off a little bit. Night starts as usual. I'm actually gonna treat this night a little bit more seriously, so you guys can get an idea of like beginner-friendly first 1,000 point character preset. We're gonna put on the power generator immediately and start winding the music box. We're gonna lower Ender's roots, click on Spider, flash Cortez, and shrink the roots a little bit more. Early on, you're gonna see BW1 on cam 3. For the sake of demonstration, I'm actually going to let him attack me, just so you guys can see what he does. Oh, hi, Spider. Sunny's in phase 2. Yeah, use your camera beacon on Drago and he goes away. Yeah, BW1 is about to do his thing here. Okay, so that sound cue right there, that's Drago. The kitchen noises. I thought I was on the music box camera for some reason. So BW1, he's on cam 3. You need to use your camera beacon to ward him off. If you don't ward him off, he will dispense neurotoxins in the area, and that in of itself doesn't actually change much. But it does change one thing. Whenever you flip up the camera from now on, you have a chance to see a hallucination, an animatronic called George. That right there was Half Skull, actually. He appears randomly on your monitor, and if you don't put the monitor down fast enough, he will disable one of your cameras for the rest of the night. I'll try to show that off when I can. I'm just kind of trying to show off the George. Okay, so that right there, that's George. This is what happens when George goes off and does his thing. You get this really, really nasty hallucination, and it's not fun for anyone. Now, your run's not over if this happens. It just got a lot harder. Important to note, very, very important to note, is that if you see George on a camera and you lower the monitor fast enough, the next time you raise the monitor, he'll still be there. So flash your beacon on him as soon as possible, preemptively, and he'll go away for the time being. So, watch this. Boop. Oh, that was Haskell. I got trolled there. So now you can see that camera's offline for the rest of the night. A really awful thing. Oh, by the way, jump scare warning in 3, 2, 1.
You didn't pay attention. Now you're suffering the dire consequences.
So another really annoying thing about Pixel, I feel like I'm going to be saying that a lot this stream, is that if Half Skull activates on Cam 4 and disables the camera, you cannot wind the music box. So it's basically insta GG. It kind of sucks, yeah?
Yeah.
So that's pretty nasty. So yeah, use your beacon on him. He has a few different phases. When it looks like when he's completely out of the doorway, he's gonna enter your room. So again, use the beacon and he'll disappear. And for Half Skull, just flip down your monitor quickly. It's not like Five Nights at Freddy's 3. You can't like map toggle or go to a different camera or click the same camera. You have to exit the monitor immediately. Also, don't forget to deal with Cortez and Spider, of course, when you lower the monitor, by the way. He's basically just a distraction. Not really terribly threatening, but he can be kind of annoying. Yeah, that is the first 1,000 characters. Or sorry, the first 1,000 points. So 10 characters. Oh, Jesus, 1,000 characters. Good God, no one would play this game.
Oh, God.
So now we're going to move on to who I consider the intermediate level characters. These characters are still relatively beginner friendly, but they have quirks about them that make them kind of tough to deal with, and thus I wouldn't recommend turning them on for the first 1,000 points. We're going to talk a little bit about Luna, Tornado, and Gemini. So, the first one we're going to talk about is Luna. Hi, Luna. He, the very important thing to note about Luna is that he's a very proactive animatronic. He attacks as early as 12 a.m., and he does it multiple times per hour. He's probably the most active character in the game, or at least one of them, to be honest. Okay, so you hear that laughter coming from my left ear. That means he's in the left vent. You're gonna listen. And then you hear the bang, you know he's gone. So, wherever he laughs, that's where you close the vent. So if you hear a laughter in your left ear, you close the left vent. If you hear laughter on the right side, you close the right vent. And if you don't hear laughter in any particular direction, it just kind of feels like you're... Yeah, like that. That means he's in the center. So yeah, he's all audio cues. You can't find this dude anywhere on the cameras. You can try all you want. You'll never find Luna on a camera. So just listen. And always be ready for him. So, Tornado. He makes, yeah, that noise cue right there, that little, kind of, like he's clanging, he's going through the vents. Ventilation noises, basically. He makes two of them. The first time, is kind of just a warning that he's about to show up soon. So don't freak out if you hear that sound effect just once, but when you hear it the second time, he's going to show up in your right vent like so. Once again, you can't see Tornado on the cameras. You can only see him in your right vents. So either use his visual cue of him physically showing up in your right vent, or just wait for the second ventilation sound cue. Now we get to talk about Gemini. So you're probably noticing this mask on my desk. There's two mask pieces, one on my left and one on my right. you can actually put it back on your desk, but if you put it too high up, it will... If you throw it off the desk, it will crack, so be careful with that. Just leave it there for the most part. One of the animatronics is affected by this. Oh, there we go. So you see this right here? That's Gemini. When you see them show up, you want to put the corresponding mask piece onto them. So you'll notice I put the left mask piece on because the left side of her face wasn't covered up by a mask. If you screw it up, the mask will break, and they will steal 5% of your power if you don't handle them quickly. The reason I don't recommend turning them on early is because they're a little bit janky. You need to be very quick with them and just kind of get a feel for how they work. So, jump scare warning, I'm just going to let Tornado kill me here.
You'll never live long enough to see what I've seen.
Oh, cooldown. I'm sorry. Did I say something wrong? 1,000 characters. Go, Luna. Alright. Next, we're going to talk about, so 1,600 points. At this point, in this particular order, you're going to do, again, just to recap, by this point, you have Freddy, Cortez, Ender, Pixel, Spider, Sunny, Drago, Ewok, BW1 George, and Half-Skull, as well as Luna, Tornado, and I'm forgetting someone, Gemini. The next three characters we're going to introduce are Death Horse, Axie, and Zaplord. Actually, these are very interesting characters. I like to call these the Trojan Horse characters. So Death Horse is probably the first one you're going to want to know about. He attacks fairly early on in the night, about anywhere between 20 to 40 seconds into the night, I want to say. So he's fairly active. He's going to start banging his head on one of your windows, and you want to play an audio cue that corresponds to what sound you hear him banging on. So right there. He's on my right window, so I'm going to play an audio decoy on 8A. If you think it's kind of hard to tell what side he's on, I'll talk about these characters momentarily. If you're having a hard time hearing what side he's on, you can just look at the window and use the audio decoy on the camera closest to Death Horse. So if you hear the head banging on the kind of vaguely on the right side, you're going to use the audio decoy on 8A, and if you hear it vaguely on the left side, you're going to use 8B instead. Axie is a bit different. This is going to sound really memey, but stay with me here. For any of you who have played Among Us, this is going to sound pretty familiar to you. You're going to play a little mini game. It's kind of like a task in Among Us. You're going to connect 4 wires together. By clicking on them. You don't drag it, you just click. So here, for example, this is Axie. So I'm gonna click orange, orange, green, green, blue, blue, red, red, and Axie will go away. The order does not matter, you can do it in any order you want as long as you click the... So for example, if you click 1 green, you have to click... the next one has to be a green. You have to start with the wires on the left side before you can go to the right. So you're gonna do left, like for example, left green, left red, left blue, right blue, so on and so forth, whatever. Again, the color order does not matter. You can pick any color you want. So yeah. Probably the most important one to explain early, or maybe not the most important, but the most complex one to explain is Zaplord. This is kind of going to be a section of its own, so buckle up, fellas. We're going to ward off Death Horse here because he's just annoying. So, Axie might kill me here, but I'm going to try my best to explain Zaplord. It's not actually that complicated in and of itself. You're just playing Pac-Man, and you want to collect the fruit. But I have a lot to say about Zaplord in particular. So much so that we're actually going to do our own section on Zaplord, called a section on Zaplord.
Everyone runs out of one-ups eventually. Isn't that right?
And yes, oh dear. Zaplord is hostile, which means he can kill you. So be careful about that. Sleepy Jared. Yeah. So, important to note about Zaplord, he's going to seem very, 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 very difficult at first when you're first learning him. And there's a reason for that. Just like the original Pac-Man, you'll notice, if you watch intently, that Zaplord has, all of the ghosts basically have their own patterns. They move in different ways. And it's not one-to-one with the actual Pac-Man. In fact, yeah, I'm going to say this right now. They're not the same patterns from the original Pac-Man. Do not expect that. Every time you do the...
random in the original Pac-Man, so...
Well, they're not random. They have coding. But that's kind of a different kind of worms.
In this, they kind of stay stuck in the corner.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Oh, here we go. So... you're supposed to collect the fruit. You have a long time limit. So if you see the Zaplord minigame, do not panic. You have a lot more time to deal with this than you think. Look at how slowly the timer goes down. All you want to do is collect the fruit, and you'll get 1% power for it. So Zaplord's actually pretty useful. I would definitely recommend turning him on for like 1600 presets and higher, 1600 point presets and higher. Absolutely have Zaplord on. Not the most beginner-friendly character because, again, we're going to talk about the ghost patterns now. So Clyde is probably the simplest. At the top left, the orange ghost, that is Clyde. His pattern is that he doesn't go backward at all. He just goes in a straight little line, like exactly what he's doing right now. You see that? He just moves in kind of a very, very predictable, easy-to-predict fashion, so... You don't have to worry about him much at all. He's very, very easy to get a read on. Next, we're going to talk about Blinky and Inky. Important to note about Blinky is that there's a little safe spot right here where he won't attack you. Even if it looks like he's moving toward you, don't panic. You're going to stay there, and he's not going to hurt you. He goes backward when he's in the corner at the bottom left. So I recommend waiting for him to go back up here, and then getting the fruit like this. And of course, next we're going to talk about Inky, and then Pinky. So, Blinky's pretty simple. Again, he always goes backward when he hits the bottom left. Inky is kind of weird. You'll see he's kind of doing this weird pattern, where he goes back up. When he's in that little spot at the far right of the map, he moves backward. So you're going to wait for him to go up, and then you're going to chase him, kind of. Or you could also wait for him to do that. So usually I like doing this. Inky's kind of hard to explain. You just need to kind of get a feel for where your safe areas are. But when you know when he travels backward, it's not too bad. And then there's Pinky. She's by far the weirdest of them. She has this really, really freaking weird pattern where she bangs her head into that wall in the middle right there, and then she doubles back. So I recommend waiting for her to come right here, and then you're gonna go under her. Like that. To get the fruit. So like this.
Ah, you were so close.
And that's Zaplord. Once you learn the ghost patterns, pretty simple character, actually. Very, very useful to have on. Playing a shmup the whole time. And now, finally, the end of the advanced level characters. We're going to talk about two very interesting ones. Pengull and Night Marina. I'm going to turn on Pixel, too, just so I have an insta-kill button. Okay. So, Night Marina is a character. You're going to see her show up on your right window at first. And your screen is going to flicker, like, on and off. You're, like, it's gonna flicker black. Like, it's hard to explain, but you'll know it when you see it. And you're gonna hear this loud sound effects that sounds like an animatronic crawling through, like crawling right next to one of your windows. She's super annoying because her specialty is forcing you out of your monitor. If you look at her too long, she kills you. So when you hear or see Night Marina, you're going to go in your monitor instantly. Important to note is that while she's walking by, she can only kill you while she's next to your window. So if she reaches the middle part here, you can actually lower the monitor. I'm going to do that in a moment here when she shows up, actually. So yeah, you're going to go into your monitor when you see her. You're going to wait a little bit until you hear her kind of fading away. I'm going to turn on Pango here so I don't die. More on him later. And yeah, we're just going to wait for Night Marina. She's not as active as some of the other animatronics, but whenever she does show up, it presents a big fucking problem. Okay, there she is right there. So I'm going to go into my monitor. I'm going to wait a little bit. And now you'll notice I'm safe. And then we're going to go back in our camera. I don't think there is a sound cue for her being in the middle. You just gotta have to... get a feel for it. But yeah, so she forces you into the monitor, and that can make for a really nasty combo when you're dealing with Tornado, and maybe Luna, maybe Night Marina, to name a few. In particular, she makes Ender, Cortez, and Spider really fucking annoying. So you want to learn how to deal with Spider, Cortez, and Ender very, very quickly. 2 a.m. So this is Pangle. He has a clock on his chest, and you need to synchronize his clock to the in-game timer. So for example, it's 2 a.m. right now. So if I don't set his timer to 2 a.m., he's gonna kill me. You have 16 seconds of leeway total to do this, 8 seconds preceding and following any in-game hour. So, for example, 52 seconds into 1 minute, 8 seconds in, you will be safe. But if you wait too long, he will kill you. By himself, he's extremely simple, but he's also extremely difficult to forget, and that's what makes Pangle such a bastard. It's very easy to forget about him in the midst of all the chaos. Jump scare warning, I'm gonna let Pixel kill me in 3, 2, 1.
You didn't pay attention. Now you're suffering the dire consequences.
That's those two. So, this is what most 1800 presets will look like, or maybe you're going for like Sinister 16 as well. This is a great 1600 preset, and if you're going for 1800, you can turn on Night Marina and Pangle. I highly recommend this set. It's very learnable. Hello, Rams. Alright, and now it's time to delve into the... Oh, dear. It's time to delve into the advanced level characters. I'm so sleeping after this. These are the... Oh, yeah. Pangle and Night Marina. There. Time's up. The Time's Up duo. Hell yeah. Valentina in Shadows. She's here. He's there. These two are fucking everywhere, and I'm gonna teach you guys why. I would not recommend you turning these on early. Dear God. We'll start with Valentina, since she's definitely going to be the one that attacks me first. She will sprint toward your office doors every so often. Very often. And you need to close the appropriate door. This is a character that's so important. I actually switch finger placements depending on if I have Valentina set on or not. If you have Valentina, if you don't have, there she is right now. Yeah, you just close the door on her quickly. We're gonna hunt for Shadows really quick just so he doesn't kill me. So, if you don't have Valentina set on, left ring finger on index, middle finger on W, right index finger on D. If you do have Valentina set on, I highly recommend shifting your position to left ring finger on Q, middle finger on W, right finger on E. This lets you quickly deal with Valentina and still close the middle vent. And if you want to close the left vent or the right vent, you can just lower your finger a little bit. I sometimes even use my pinky for Shift CTRL, although a lot of the time what I'll do is if I'm on the camera, I'll actually just take my fingers off of Q off of the QWE and just use my ring finger for shift and CTRL. You could.
Valentina's the one who makes playing on as a team really awkward because Q and E are really badly positioned. They're like diagonal to each other. It's a mess because you have to like kind of turn your hand or move your fingers accordingly. And yeah, it kind of sucks because W's at the bottom. So yeah, you're gonna have to get used to that.
Mm-hmm. One thing you could do, well, if she shows up out of like all of a sudden, which she tends to do, spoiler alert, and you're in your monitor, and you're like, let's say your left, you do what I do, and your left ring finger is on CTRL, your middle finger is on shift, and you're not ready for her. Keep your left ring finger on CTRL. You can do this with me if it helps you. Kind of envision what I'm saying. You can feel free to follow along with me. Put your left ring finger on CTRL, put your middle finger on Q and your right finger on E. This is something I do in emergencies when I don't expect Valentina. You can also switch your left index, or sorry, your left middle finger to, Jesus, what am I saying? Left ring finger to shift as well, if you need to. So that's pretty useful. Yeah, this character is pretty much all about finger placement. That sounds really fucking weird, I realize that, but it really is very important to learn. There is a very important trait to learn in this game that I will go into much, much, much later on in the stream. That has to do with, actually, what does that have to do with? Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that. Check. Yeah. So she shows up a lot when you're in your monitor. I'm gonna say this a little preemptively. Be ready to counter her when you're in your monitor. I will go much more into this talking point later, because that's a very useful skill. But for the sake of the time being, just know that she's gonna appear a lot when you're not going to be in your office, and you're not going to be able to see her. In fact, that's a good rule of thumb for a lot of the monsters in this game. You're not gonna actually be able to see them most of the time, because you're gonna spend so much time in the monitors. So yeah. And now I can explain Shadows a little bit. Where the hell did he go off to? Shadows is kind of his own thing. So he starts on cam 1. And then he moves to... He's already moved. He starts on cam 1. You can see his eyes glowing there. Oh, by the way, a little off topic, but if... Oh yeah, I forgot to explain some things about Valentina really quick. If you hear her, Valentina coming from the right side, she's going to sprint to your left door. And vice versa. If you hear her coming from the left, shut the right door immediately. That's very, very useful to know because you can use her sound cues to anticipate where she's moving. And if you kind of panic and you don't know what side she came from, there's nothing wrong with just closing both doors for a moment, just to play it safe. So, like, for example, watch this. Let's say I'm kind of panicking and I don't remember which door she was at. I just close both doors, open them right back up afterward, no big deal. You can close the door immediately after you hear her crash into it. It's very quick. It's very, very quick. So yeah, back to Shadows. Or not.
Welcome back.
Did you miss me? No. Good. Yeah, we're just gonna have Valentina's mean, sad face. Okay, Shadows is kind of weird. Like I said, he starts on cam 1, you see his little glowy eyes there. He follows one of two set paths to your office. Either 1, 2, 3, 8B, or 1, 4, 7, 8A. He cannot go to any other cameras. If he goes to this route, you'll see him right here on cam 4. If he goes to the right route, that's him right there. Pretty easy to spot. And check this out. Once he goes to cam 7, he's very, very difficult to spot. So watch carefully. You see him at the bottom left of the screen there? That's Shadows. And then finally, he goes to 8A before entering your office and killing you. He doesn't kill you instantly, that's important to note. He actually waits a little bit, so if you're at 5 a.m., you might be able to clutch just not dealing with him, but I wouldn't recommend it. And there he is right there on 8A. He's kind of, it looks like kind of a phantom. So use your camera beacon on him, and he'll go back to cam 1. I'm going to show you guys what he looks like on the other cameras if we see him go to his other route here. In fact, I'm going to get the clown ready. Oh, wait, no, actually, I'm going to save that for surprise. Okay, he went to that route, so we're going to put him right back on camera 1. He is kind of hard to spot on the cameras. You might have to squint a little bit. He's pretty active, too. It's very easy to lose track of him. Okay, there he is. You see the little purple bow tie in the middle left of the screen next to the door? That's him. Kind of hard to see, but you see a little silhouette and, yeah, the bow tie, the suit. That's him. You generally want to flash him when he's in his 3rd or 4th camera, so either 5-7 or 8A, 8B. Because if you flash him early, you're just kind of wasting time making him go back in his cycle earlier. So, for example, let's say he moved from cam 1 to cam 2. He goes back to cam 1 because you flashed him, and shit, he's back on cam 2 in like 5-10 seconds. So, don't waste your time. Let him travel a little bit to your office. Just don't wait too long. I'd recommend flashing him on either 3-7 or 8A, 8B. And that's him right there on 8B. Very easy to spot. So yeah, that's how Shadow works. He's kind of a mysterious one. Definitely not a beginner-friendly character because he kind of makes you do a mad scramble through your cameras to figure out where the hell he is. But definitely a character that can be learned. Definitely a kind of advanced level, but not impossible. He's just hard to see, really. And he takes a lot of attention. It takes a lot of attention to deal with him. Yeah, you can just barely see the silhouette. Incredibly hard to see, but you can see it nonetheless. Kind of have to point it out a little bit. I've been awake for a while working on this.
Yeah, a while, like more than a while, really, like a long time.
Yeah. So there he is right there. I'm going to show you about how long it takes for him to kill you. Of course, jump scare warning, you might want to lower your volume here. I'll give, like I said earlier, I'll give jump scare warnings whenever I can. I realize I didn't for a few of them because I wasn't expecting them. But yeah. Just be ready.
But again, if you play this game, you're gonna get jump scared a lot, so...
Yeah. If jump scares bother you a lot, for the love of God, don't play this game. But if you get used to it, it's not that bad. Once you die enough, the jump scares don't really faze you that much. Okay, so you hear that breathing? That means he's in your office.
I may have been out of tune, but now that you're dead, it makes no difference.
Oh my god. Ty just wants to murder everybody.
Jump scares are meant to give heart attacks. Yo, heart attacks pug. Wait a minute. And that's the little guy on Shadows.
They're just fine.
I like how he jump scared me right when I said, "Can you hear the breathing?" And then he's like, "Whoa." But yeah, he actually makes a little breathing sound cue if he's in your office. So, you know, it's very hard to hear, but it is there.
I mean, you're
Feel
probably
free to-
not gonna hear it if you're busy with anything else.
Yeah. True. Alright. Now we're gonna get into characters so advanced that not even I actually have them turned on yet. But these are pretty simple characters, actually. Oh yeah, I forgot the name for the... Yeah. Okay, actually, I did do that. Okay. So Terrence and Ooblik are our next characters. These are the basement basics. I'm gonna teach you guys how to deal with the basement characters. Again, this is for kind of advanced level play. You can use these guys on lower presets if you want to, but I wouldn't really recommend it. So the first thing we're going to do
Especially Oobleck on lower presets is just
Yeah.
insane.
And I'll explain why. So, let's talk about Terrence first. He appears on B7 and BA. If you hear a... You know, I'm just gonna let it play. Listen carefully. I hope he shows up first and not Oobleck. So yeah, listen carefully. You hear that little, like, drips sound effect? That means Terrence is there. Depending on where he is, if he's on B7, you're going to send the external power to the... Oh, dear. Hey, Oobleck, don't cut me off. So if you see him on B7, close the stairs door. And if you see him on BA instead, you're going to close the elevator door. You're going to send the external power to the elevator door instead. That's how you deal with Terrence. It seems really, really easy, but because he deals with external power and is a basement character and by proxy forces your power generator off, I would not recommend starting him. That's why I put him so high up in the difficulty hierarchy, is because even though he's not actually that difficult to deal with, he's just... he requires you to use a bunch of different mechanics that newer players aren't going to be as good at handling. He leaves after, like, a second or two. You can probably just wait for him to leave and then do your thing. So we're going to talk about Oobleck now. You hear that fire alarm? That means this is one of your cameras. This is Oobleck. You're going to use the sprinkler system on the camera he's in. Oobleck can only show up on 3 different cameras, BA, BB, and BC. He will instantly skyrocket the temperature up 25 to 26 degrees, and it will stay at a constant. So, for example, if you have the power generator on, and your temperature is at 70 degrees, he will instantly skyrocket it to 95. That's dangerous. Very, very dangerous character if you don't deal with him quickly, especially on lower presets. Now, you're probably wondering why he's so much of a big deal on lower presets. It's because when you're not dealing with the basement characters, you're not using external power. And when you're not using external power, chances are you're doing what you should do. And you're leaving the power generator on. Oobleck punishes you for leaving the power generator on. Thus, he is kind of up there in the difficulty totem pole. So yeah, you can see how fast Terrence leaves. It's very quick. He's a quick motherfucker. We're gonna reset the boiler here. And honestly, I might just let Terrence kill me the next time I see him. He has a cool voice. I kind of want to share it, actually.
They all have cool voices, really.
Oh yeah, that's one thing I didn't really get to mention that much yet, but every single character has, I think, at least 3 or 4 unique voice lines, and they're so freaking good. I love the voice acting in this game. Every character has so much personality. I'm going to talk more at the end of the stream about just why I love this game so fucking much. But I'm going to keep the simping to a minimum for now. Oh yeah, look at that, just everything happening. So yeah, we're going to use the sprinkler system. Jump scare warning, by the way. So yeah, Oobleck's pretty simple. He's just dangerous. He can't kill you. He's not lethal. But he is very, very annoying.
Now you're left with nothing but a mere whisper in the void.
I love Terrence's voice. It's so cool. You could call it edgy, and it is, but I think it's genuinely pretty sick what they did.
My favorite Spangle. Just so cool. It's not like edgy, but it's just amazing. I like the effect and stuff.
Anyone out of touch with my rhythm is no friend of mine. Yeah, Pangle's great. Alright. His name is Terrence. You love how his name is Terrence?
Yeah, his name is Terrence.
It's pretty great. S'mores or chocolate chip. Alright, thanks. I will cherish this advice.
What? I mean, it's the most important thing in the world. What is the right granola bar?
Yeah.
Jared, which are the best granola bars?
Granola bars. So, next up we're going to learn about
You didn't answer the question. I'm just kidding.
Lamau. I like to call these two characters Night Bear Scare. We're gonna learn about Daisy and Fruki.
Hold up, there's another context channel. I'm gonna post it in here.
Sure. So Daisy, I might need a little bit of help from Toter with this one, but basically, Daisy shows up on camera B9. You need to send the external power to the light to even be able to see him. The light will keep him in check, and he won't be able to attack you. So you every now and again, you want to flash the light on Daisy-in's camera. This is the only camera he appears on, so you don't need to worry about trying to find him. And now, look, he's gone. He goes away. So that means I could send the power back to something like the power generator. You might want to check every so often just to make sure he hasn't materialized again. He also has probably the coolest jump scare in any horror game.
Yeah.
Okay,
you
so...
should show it on.
Oh yeah, I will. So Fruki time. Whenever at the turn of every hour, you're gonna have to find Fruki. He's on one of the basement cameras that have night vision. So he appears up on... Wait, what? Yeah, you have to actually click on the camera too. But you can have the light on and not be on his camera. If you see that little camera flash, there's a decent chance that it means he's gone if you're not on his camera. So just leave the light on until he goes away. You can do some other stuff. You don't have to wait for him. You can do like reset the boiler, be productive, flash Ender, just click Spider, Cortez, Luna's there, Night Marina. Oh, you know.
You forgot Valentina as well.
Yeah, Valentina. So yeah, that's how Fruki works. You're gonna check B1, B2, B3, B4, B5, B6 in no particular order. At the start of every hour, that is exactly when he attacks. So it's 2 a.m. I'm gonna double click these cameras and I'm gonna find him. And when you find him, you're gonna hear that little sound effect, and that means he's gone.
Also, he looks at you very, very weirdly, and he's spooky, and I hate him with all my guts.
Yeah, Fruki is definitely like advanced character. Would not recommend. He doesn't seem that difficult, but he's very, very tricky.
Yeah,
because
on
you're
top
dealing
of
with
Bengal as well. It's really like it's kind of a mess.
Yeah. Jump scare warning shortly. I want to show off Daisy-in's jump scare. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's so fucking cool.
Also, remember that using the night vision will turn off any external power on any of your other devices, so you're gonna have to turn on the power generator and stuff. Do 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 do. Ah, here we go.
Ooh, time.
Check this shit out.
Look at this.
Holy shit, that was a lot louder than I thought it would be.
Your hearts. And give
It's not
it
really a
to
scary
me.
jump scare because you see it coming, but it's just, yeah, it's so fucking good.
Yeah. I'm actually gonna turn the
What do you
volume
mean?
down just a little bit. Why
Round
was that
is
so loud,
fucking
actually?
amazed.
Holy crap, the volume, I'm sorry, the volume mixer skyrocketed the game volume for like no reason. I'm very sorry about that. But yeah, that's a really cool jump scare. Again, like Soul said, not technically a jump scare because it's very obvious when it comes, but like it's so freaking cool. Anyway, so we're almost done learning the characters here. We just have 3 more. In fact, I'll just kind of throw all 3 of them into one. This is probably a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. But I'm gonna, you know what, actually, let's just throw all 3 of them together. Fuck it. So Frisk is the final of the advanced level characters. You're gonna use an audio decoy in the right vent, and you will ward him away. Comet. Oh, sorry.
Hold up. Frisk, you don't actually have to use it in the right vent. It's an event. Or any camera. If you use an audio decoy,
Yeah, that's
get sent back.
a bug. They might fix that later.
Ah, that's a bug. Okay. I didn't know.
But yeah.
I hope they nerf him if they fix that though, because even with that is so annoying.
Yeah, he's pretty silly. Maybe if they nerf him, oh dear. If they nerf him, I'll try to put like a little edit in the description or something. But yeah, Frisk is a really, really annoying character. Again, he's the hardest of the advanced level characters. Not because he's hard to understand. In fact, he's actually one of the easiest characters in the game to understand, just in terms of like how to deal with him. But he's kind of random. Again, this game is very, very skill based. There's very little RNG, but his attack variance is very weird, very, very strange. He can be very, very aggressive when he wants to be. And then finally we have the characters. Oh yeah, the little titles I have for the final 3 characters. Frisk is a cacophony of cold, and I'll talk a little bit about Comet here in a second, the bipolar bastard. He shows up at either your left or right hall, and you just use your door to ward him off. Whenever he leaves, he might laugh and enter his nightmare form, which means you have to do a mad dash on your camera to find him. In fact, I'm actually going to turn off Abigail Tranquility just to explain these two. So, Comet and Abigail and Tranquility are in a special tier of character I like to call don't ever turn these on. Ever. They are beyond advanced level. They are actually the worst characters in this fucking game. So I would not recommend really ever turning them on. Unless you're going for, like, Twisted 26, 27.
Yeah, like, basically Twisted 27, I say. I think they're like the last ones you want to turn on, probably.
Yeah.
Most definitely, yeah.
Hey, Super Soul. Hey, Jared.
What?
Yo,
Oh,
Eclipse.
sorry.
I'm doing a Animator's Hell Guide.
Awesome.
So that's his attack phase right there. It's on Twitch, by the way. Okay, so that means he's gone. Still no Frisk. Wow, I'm kind of shocked, actually. I don't actually know if he shows up on any other cameras. Maybe Toter could verify that for me. I know he's on cameras 8B and 8A, but I don't know if he can show up on any other cameras. Besides, obviously, the basement cameras and if he enters his nightmare form. And there's Frisk right there. He crawls through the vent at a pretty alarming speed. So I'll just kind of show you guys his attack. Yeah, he's very quick. Like, look at this guy. Look at how fast he is. Look at that!
Especially at like 4 and 5 a.m. he gets so fucking fast.
Yeah, use your audio decoy, and he'll go away. Look, he's fucking back already.
Go away. He just goes back, really.
He always comes back.
I always come back. Oh, Comet, hello.
Yeah, don't do this. This has no purpose. I'm just memeing.
Memeing is good.
Oh, there he goes. Okay, now he's in his nightmare form. We need to check the basement cameras. I'm gonna use an audio decoy just to prevent Frisk from killing me. So we need to check. There he is. There he is. You see that? That's his nightmare form. You're gonna use your camera beacon on him to revert him to his normal form. So just search the basement cameras. I don't know which ones specifically, admittedly. I think it's the visible ones.
B7, BB, and BC. Toter just said that.
Oh, sick. Thank you. Thanks for the help. So, yeah, B7, BB, and BC. So one of the Terrence cams and one of the Ooblik cams. Or 2 of the Ooblik cams, actually. B7, BB, BC.
What?
Everyone joining
What?
the VC, what the hell?
I got moved here.
Oh, there he is.
What?
Yeah, we're doing an epic guide.
Yo, why did everyone get moved?
Animators Help God.
Hyper.
No,
I
Hello.
think.
I'm gonna do 1.3k.
Oh, Jesus.
Creatures sick as
In
you
what?
should be put down.
Look at me, I'm doing 1.3k.
Oh.
Actually, 1.4. Wait, let's see if I can add anyone else.
Oh, sick, you're doing Animator Cell.
Yeah.
Nice. What you going for?
I don't know. If I can't find anyone for 1.5k, I'm gonna leave it to this.
Okay. I'll watch after the edit's finished.
Oh, after that you need to go to bed, Jared.
And then I will
You're
go
gonna
to
wait for too long.
Sleep, Jared. Sleep.
bed. Yeah. I'll do that after probably the guide's finished. So, the final character of the game, unless you are named Frogger25 or Frogger27 or Toter25, do not ever turn these two on. They suck. They are awful. They waste so much power, and you'll never be able to predict when they show up. But I'll do my best at explaining them. Feel free to chime in, Toter, by the way, if you want to on these as well. I'm not actually that familiar with them myself. But basically, how they work, the twins, Abigail and Tranquility, one shows up at the left door, one shows up at the right door. You actually need to flash your light at the door to see if they're there. And if you see them at your door, you're going to close the door. I think one of them moves a little bit sooner than the other, so they don't always show up at the door at the same time. There might be one twin at the door, but not at the other. Tranquility is faster than Abigail, says Toter. Okay, and Tranquility is the, which one? The one with green hair or pink hair?
Oh, crap.
Oh, there she is right now. So yeah, we're gonna shut that door.
I just did the private room with 8%.
Good job.
Yo.
World record is 15.
You hear the knocking sound effect, and that means they're gone.
I mean, 8%'s pretty good.
So there we go. And that's pretty much it. Again, sounds really simple. Sounds very, very easy and simple, but the reason why they suck so much is because they waste a lot of power, and it's very awkward to find opportunities to check on them. Because in the office, you're warding off, Spider, Comet, Ender, maybe you're checking the right vent for Tornado, Night Marina, Death Horse, and it's hard to find the time to even flash your light at them. It's just very awkward. Easier said than done. Let's put it that way. I'll let one of them kill me now so we can just get back to the character select screen, and I can move on to the tips and tricks section.
Yo, they kill you fast as well.
Yeah, they're pretty fast. And Tranquility is the green-haired one.
Yeah.
Wait.
Alright.
Okay, we're fine. It's actually perfect.
Shooter,
What?
16% one.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed a message from Rams. Favorite animatronic by design?
Okay, do that. Do this.
That's a really good
Okay.
question, actually.
So many things happening.
I like the guy with the blue fire.
Oh, Ooblik. Yeah, he's very cool.
Yeah.
I really like Luna,
Comet.
personally. And I'm not just saying that because I literally have a friend whose name is also Luna. I also like Axie, Valentina, Cortez with those glasses. He's got that class.
Cortez is cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool characters.
I'd say my favorite is Spider. His design is sick.
I hate Spider, but I'm biased because spiders.
Arachnophobia, we'll do that to you.
Yeah.
Alright.
Again, I really like Pengo. I don't know, his design is kind of simple, but I don't know. I think it just looks cool.
Oh yeah, Penguil's sick. In fact, I actually didn't
And
show off
he-
the character designs too much. I'll show that.
And he has a sick voice.
Freddy, Tornado, Cortez, Death
So you're
Horse,
recording right now.
Ender. Oh yeah. Half Skull, Spider, Shadows, Pixel, Pangle, Night Marina, Luna, Sunny. They also have different portraits for when you turn them on. That's pretty cool. BW1 and George, Valentina, Zaplord, Axie, Comet, Gemini, Brookie, Frisk, Ewok, Drago. Look at those claws. Dajin. What the hell is Dajin anyway? Like,
It's like a weird monster thing with a bunch of eyes. He looks cool though. He looks creepy. So
yeah, it's a good design. Ooblik, Terrence, and Abigail Tranquility. Yeah, really cool designs. If you're interested, there's a fantastic video by Taste Gaming of the second demo, so this build, that has it's a 12-minute video with all of the jump scares and all of the voice lines. So if you want to check that out, highly recommend. It's a good watch.
and also a few Easter eggs. Wink, wink.
Yeah, Easter eggs.
Whoops.
You wanna show what Twisted 27 looks like?
Oh, I'll show that off. Don't worry.
Alright.
So we're gonna move on to the tips and tricks section.
Oh, what the hell, Luna?
The number one... Actually, how do I want to explain this? The rule of thumb... I'm gonna go into this one... Actually, let me do like a nice easy preset so I can like have something to show while I'm talking. So let's do like...
Frick.
Basic 1000 preset here with like BW1, Drago, Ewok. Yeah. I think 1300 was Luna, Tornado, and... who else? I'm forgetting already.
And Gemini.
Yeah, Gemini. Yeah, well, I'll do a simple 1300 preset while I talk. I might die because it's hard to multitask, but yeah. The number one rule of thumb I have, the biggest piece of advice I could possibly give anyone trying to play this game and get better at, is you want to always be doing something. Never ever just camp and do like this right here. I'm not contributing to anything. I guess it's fine too at the beginning of the night if you just want a moment to breathe, but generally speaking, you always want to be trying to ward off something. So, for example, you're gonna watch me play here, and you're seeing I'm like winding the music box and closing the left vent, deal with Luna, Spider, Cortez, wind the music box. I'm gonna flash BW1. I'm gonna check the vent characters really quick. Like, you see how I'm always doing something. I'm very proactive with my gameplay. That's how you want to play Animators Hell. In fact, that's kind of how you have to play. You're gonna be listening a lot for audio cues, and you're gonna be reacting off of visual cues as well. So Sunny's in phase 2, Spider, Cortez, and I hear Drago. The vent characters are probably in phase 3. Someone could do something about the background noise, I'd appreciate that, by the way.
Oh yeah, that was loud. Please, didn't like that jump scare.
Amber Beacon, Spider, Cortez. Yeah, see how I'm always doing something. Every single second of gameplay, I'm always contributing to something. That's how you want to... That's what you want to get in the rhythm of.
That's what society wants from you as well. Remember that.
Proactive gameplay. So, I will separate this even further. I will discuss this even further in the kind of... in this same section. But just to kind of enforce how important this is, I'm gonna do an entire run where the only thing I'm trying to do is just do as much as possible. And Luna killed me there because I didn't close the vent.
Jared, you're not streaming.
Oh, I'm on Twitch. I would stream here too, but that might kill the bandwidth, so oops. But yeah. I could do an entire run just with that philosophy alone, but I think you guys get the point. You always want to be contributing to warding off a threat. So, there's that. Another big piece of advice I have is attack variance and how to multitask. This is a really, really fun and important talking point. So, I mentioned earlier how this game is very, very skill-based. There's very little randomness. Very little randomness, but there is a hint of it, and it's called attack variance. Monsters generally show up at the same time periods. You're gonna notice the more you play this game, like, a lot of the threats will show up at the same time. So for example, I'm gonna make a prediction right now. BW1 is gonna spawn on cam 3 anywhere between 15 to 25 seconds in to the night. So we're gonna wait a little bit. And then look, there he is right now. So, again, this game is very routable. The monsters show up in very, very similar attack intervals, but again, this is where attack variance comes into play. There is a small, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's variance. It's not one-to-one. They're never going to show up at the exact same time every single time. There is a slight variance at which every monster will move. Sometimes you'll get Death Horse like 20 seconds in. Other times, Death Horse might not appear until 40 seconds into the night, just as an example. So you always want to be prepared for the variance factor, as I like to call it. You know, that's Sunny Face 2. I think I heard Drago back there. I think that's Brett. Gone. He's gone. I'm gonna play this run fairly straight because I haven't really done that yet. Half Skull. Oh, a good trick I recommend for Half Skull. I forgot to mention this earlier. But whenever you see Half Skull in your monitor, a thing I really like to do is when you close your camera, do a big sweeping motion like that for Ender. So you can shrink his roots that little bit further, like that, right there. That's a nice little optimization that I would recommend adopting. That's Gemini right there. In phase 2. Oh wow. That escalated quickly. So you can kind of see Pixel and Ender are definitely the catalysts for a lot of the gameplay. Again, notice how I'm not spamming the monitor. I will go into that more later. But you really do not want to monitor spam in this game. Very strongly discouraged. There's no point to it. It'll just get you killed. Trust me on this. There's Gemini. I'm gonna... Oh, yeah, I was too slow.
I'm mad.
And Insta's mad.
I'm mad. I'm so scared.
Isn't Insta always mad?
Not really. Why the heck am I on a Sinister 27? Wait, deselect all. I never did a Sinister 27 preset.
A fun thing about this game, there are official names for some of the sets, like there's Sinister 16 and Twisted 27. But honestly, this is officially confirmed. This will sound familiar to some of you guys in the VC, because I literally said this earlier. But as long as it has alliteration, it's considered official. So you can make whatever preset name you want, as long as it has alliteration. So Eldritch 18, the Thunderous 13, whatever you want.
So technically, the Mimi preset names we made are technically valid because they have alliterations in them.
Maybe the real preset names were the friends we made along the way.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe, who knows?
Oh, dummy Jared forgot to turn on the power generator.
Oh.
And that's why I'm at 17% at 4 AM.
Don't do that, kids.
Ooh.
That's bad.
Yeah, don't forget the power generator. That's very easy to... Now I gotta use more power.
Of course, you have to. I think you can still make this though. As you can see, this is already
8%? Oh god.
Okay, no, I don't think you're gonna make this.
Yeah, I don't have enough power.
Yeah, at least maybe we're gonna get to see the power outage sequence.
You'll never live long enough to see what
well,
I've
I
seen.
guess not then.
At least we'll get to see the power outage, also Tornado.
Yeah, I mean, Tornado's pretty cool.
I'll never live not long enough to see what he's seen.
Yeah. How long has he been alive for? That's a good question.
Lore, though. Alright,
Yeah.
so... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Origin. There we go, fixed it.
So, yeah, attack variance. Always remember that there is a little bit of variance to the attack intervals of the animatronics. It's never going to be one-to-one, but you can memorize it and develop a pattern. In fact, one thing, again, I'll go into a lot of this later, but one thing you actually do as you learn the game more is you learn where you are in the night purely based off of the attack patterns. It's very interesting. How to multitask. So, you always want to be prioritizing the most immediate threats to your survival. So, for example, if something is in their final phase in the vent, you're going to want to close the vents. If Axie has been out for, like... Well, you generally want to deal with Axie, like, immediately. I could go on and on and on and on about every single character, but basically the TLDR is... You, again, kind of ties back into what I said earlier. You always want to be doing something. As long as you're always making priorities, you learn what to concentrate on first. Focus on the things that can actually kill you, though. That's a little tip I have. You know, if you have to let BW1 dispense his neurotoxins, just let him do it. If it means you won't die to, I don't know, Terrence or something. You learn to prioritize what's the most immediately threatening as you play the game. And I just realized I've completely... actually, no, that was the 1300 preset. I didn't want to put on Death Horse. So yeah, this game is very, very multitask-centric. You have to make a lot of mental notes in your head based off of visual and audio cues. And that ties into our next point, the importance of audio cues. So I'm going to make a very specific preset just for this. Just to show an example. I think that's everyone, I think. Actually, it's a good example of a visual cue. Okay.
Here's a good example of visual cue.
Ready?
Like, good example of visual cue.
Oh, visual. Right.
A tiny door for sound cues as well, maybe.
Oh yeah, definitely. I knew I was forgetting someone. So yeah, this is a good sound-only preset. This is really weird. I'm gonna have to actually look at this a second just to memorize who's active.
How many people is there on?
Ooblik, Drago, Valentina, Zap Lord, Sunny, Luna, Night Marina, Tynado, and Death Horse. These are all of the characters in the game that make tangible sound cues, and you're gonna want to know all of them. I already talked about Tynado's, the kind of animatronic crawling through the vent sound effects. He makes two of them. Death Horse, you hear him banging on your wall. That's actually one of the things that makes Death Horse kind of threatening is just, yeah, he's so loud. Hard to hear other things.
Yeah, you don't want to panic when Death Horse is there, because it actually takes a bit before you need to break your window.
Yeah.
But he imposes like a sense of urgency.
Yeah, you definitely want to deal with him as soon as possible. Intervals. Luna, you want to watch out for his laughter. Night Marina, I already kind of explained. You hear like this animatronic, like robotic shuffling. I don't have to explain Oobla. It's a fire alarm. You'll know it when you hear it. Drago, again, just to recap, kind of kitchen noises. Sunny, I think her first phase makes the same noise as Tynado, and then again for the next two phases, she makes this sharp metallic clashing sound cue.
I'm pretty sure she has no noise on the first phase.
Yeah, she doesn't have a noise on the first phase.
She doesn't have a noise on the first phase, yeah.
Really?
It's just second and third.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure she doesn't, no.
Yeah.
I might test that later. That seems something like it would be worth testing. I could be mistaken. It could have just been Tynado.
I've never heard her move on the first phase.
Okay then. I stand corrected. That's
Yeah.
yeah. It's phase 2 and 3. Listen for sharp metallic clashing. Valentina, listen for sprinting, and Zaplord. Well, if you've ever played Pac-Man, you know what to hear for. So this is like audio only preset. I'm just gonna listen, and we're gonna see what happens. Oh, no music box. This feels weird already. Death Horse is probably gonna attack pretty early, I think. So yeah, we're just gonna... This is actually kind of exciting. Just listening is the only thing I can do. Luna? Okay. Probably gonna get Death Horse pretty soon here. Valentina sometimes likes proceeding or following up with Luna attacks, so be careful about that if you're doing intermediate level presets. Intermediate advanced level. Okay, that's Sunny. Using her second phase, and oh god. Oh Jesus Christ, this is actually a lot harder than I thought it would be. Okay. Woo. What the hell? This preset is way harder than I thought. This is one of the hardest 900 presets I've ever done.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, there's Upload, there's like Marina. There's... Oh, I guess no Tornado's not that bad. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, you... Okay, yeah, you guys are right. I was listening very intently. I didn't hear Sunny.
Yeah, I should have something.
Oh, Jesus, that was really slow.
So you can basically treat her like Animator if you want, but I still recommend checking out her camera every so often, just in case.
Yeah. Sunny, Drago.
It's definitely one of the least important cameras to check. So the sound cue.
And perfect timing, Ooblik, you son of a bitch. I heard Drago and Luna. What do I have closed? Oh yeah, the right door. Sunny's in phase 2.
Some intense gaming.
Yeah, this is all just audio cues. Wow. Sunny's in phase 3.
You haven't gone to sleep yet, Jared?
No, like...
What the hell?
I don't know how long he's been awake
Hold on.
for, but he's kind of crazy.
Oh shit. Heard that.
Oh, we were like in a call at like 6 in the morning. I thought you went to bed after I left. What are you doing, Mike?
Don't worry, I do get sleep. I just do it at weird times. Oh, Jesus. Actually, leave that. Oh, fuck. Valentina.
Quit shutting the door in my face!
Yeah, you can see audio cues are very, very important. They make your life a lot easier. And yeah. That's pretty much all the ones in the game. I might be missing some, but I think that's all of them. Bye, Ty. Yeah, don't worry. I will probably sleep after this.
Yeah.
All right. So, let's move on here. Another big tip I have, let's talk a little bit about muscle memory for a second. Office phase versus camera phase. So, this game does have its fair share of muscle memory. Probably the most important one is this trio of characters right here. So every time you're in your office, you're gonna flash Cortez, you're gonna click on the spiders, and you're gonna deal with Ender. It's very important that you just kind of get in the rhythm of understanding like what to do in the office phase and what to do in the monitor phase. Now the monitor phase is interesting because there's a lot more going on in the monitors than there is in the office. So a typical monitor phase is going to look like this. You're going to wind the music box for about 20 seconds. You're going to flash BW1. Axie shows up around 30 seconds, followed by, or preceded by Zap Lord. Around 1 minute in, you're going to start checking the vent characters. And 1 minute 30 seconds, the boiler goes off. And then, of course, in between there, you have characters that show up a lot earlier and rush you down, like Valentina and whatnot. But we'll talk about those characters later. Once you incorporate these characters into your muscle memory, you'll be able to develop a flow where you can just rapidly switch between monster to monster and ward them off. And it's very satisfying. In fact, it's the most satisfying thing about the game. Probably. It's just like warding off a bunch of threats is such a good feeling. It's pretty great. So yeah. Okay. So to stopwatch or not to stopwatch?
Sleep or not to sleep. Go to bed, bro.
You need to finish his guide before he goes to bed.
Can you let me finish the guide first?
Oh,
Wait,
wow.
don't. Oh yeah, I will. Yeah, I have a very weird sleep schedule, but I do get plenty of sleep. Don't worry.
Bro, you haven't slept for like 30 hours or something.
30? No, it's been more like 18 maybe.
Oh, okay. It's not that bad. I thought it was longer than that.
Yeah, I'm not the kind of person to stay awake for 24, 30 hours. Jesus.
Okay, charger is for no stopwatch.
Yeah. So anyway, back to the stream. Stopwatch versus no stopwatch. You can play this game however you want. It's not really rigid. I'm not gonna lean super hard one way or the other. There are advantages to using both, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about that right now. So the pros to using a stopwatch. You know exactly when the boiler is going to go off. So 1 minute, 30-second intervals, you can preemptively deal with the boiler. It also helps you a lot when you're learning the game, if you're dealing with understanding timings of certain characters. I use it a lot for Pangle in particular. I really like knowing that it's like 52 seconds in, and I can change the in-game clock and then move on to other things. I feel like later on it will also help a lot with characters like Fruki, who show up at the start of every hour. And just kind of once you get a feel for where you are in the night, having like a visual representation of where you are in the night is very useful. I'm a stopwatch player, at least right now. I have no idea how that'll be in the future, but I like stopwatch. I'd try it out, see if you like it. It's not something you really need when you're just starting out, but if you have like, by the time you get to like, you have Pangle set on and stuff, you might want to consider using a stopwatch. But there is a benefit to not using the stopwatch as well. And that's kind of what, it ties into something that I mentioned earlier. You can learn pretty much the entire night just based off of what's attacking you. Once you've played enough of the game, you'll develop a flow where a lot of the same monsters will become active at the same time. I kind of mentioned this earlier with like, for example, take my 1600, 1700 character preset. where I had something like this, I think. So this is 1600, this is 1800. A typical night would be, or a typical 12 a.m. would be 1 pixel. A 1 pixel, deal with Ender, Spider, wind the music box, flash BW1 on cam 3, then Axie becomes active, Zaplord becomes active, you wait a little bit longer, you might see like Cortez, Half Skull, Luna's very active, you see, he's one of the first characters you see actually. About 1 minute in, you see like Breddy, Sunny, Drago, really all the vent characters show up around a minute in. And again, you can memorize this, so for some players, it might even be better to just ignore the in-game time completely, with the exception of, you know, the time for Pangle, and rely on that. I need a drink. So, yeah. Stopwatch versus no stopwatch, it's preference. Generally speaking, I don't think you need one, but it can be very useful. So you just kind of need to decide what kind of player you are. And my final tip for this game, before I move into the semi-final section, is learn to embrace failure. We've mentioned this a few times already, but Animators Hell is a very, very difficult video game. There's a big learning curve. There's a lot of muscle memory. I consider it easy to learn, but very exceedingly difficult to master. So don't be afraid of dying a lot. Every mistake will feel like your fault. I mean, you might be thrown into some really bad situations, but it's never RNG that kills you. It's a very, very skill-based game. I'm not saying you get kind of screwed over with bad timings, but for the most part, for the overwhelming majority of this game, your deaths will always feel like your fault. So don't be afraid to fail. You know, blow it off, realize it's just a video game, maybe take a break if you get a little frustrated. It's not a rage game or anything, but it is very hard, so again, learn to embrace failure, because you're going to be dying a lot in this game, learning pretty much the whole way through. Alright, semi-final section of the beginner's primer. This is what I like to call the do's and don'ts section. So, I'm going to switch here for a moment back to... Actually, I'm just going to stay in the game. Do be proactive and stay composed. Again, rule of thumb, always be doing something. You want to be very proactive. If you think that there's nothing else to do or deal with, you're probably wrong. There's always something that you can and probably should be attending to, whether it be Pixel or Ender, to name probably the most prominent ones, but there's so much going on in this game that you can't afford to just do nothing. So yeah, stay composed and be proactive. Get familiar with important visual audio cues. So I've already talked about audio cues. There's 9 characters that are very prominent with audio cues. So Sunny, Luna, Valentina, Drago, Death Horse, Tinito, Night Marina. Technically Pixel, but not really. Zaplord, and Iblik. Important visual cues include Breddy, and of course most of the characters in your office. Music box. Some characters that are audio based are also, you can also use visuals, like Death Horse, Valentina, Tinito, Night Marina. You can get pretty flexible with this. There's a lot of really great visual cues as well. This is one thing that I really want to shout out in particular. get used to shutting doors with the monitor up. Do get used to using the doors when the camera's up, because again, most of the time in this game, you're going to be in the monitor with very quick bursts inside the office to deal with Ender, Cortez, and Spider. So if you might feel kind of uncomfortable at first, but once you get comfortable with hearing things and closing the vents without needing to see without even needing to be in your office, that will help you so much, especially once you get to the harder characters like Tornado, Valentina, and so on and so forth. Clever usage of Shift and CTRL. Again, Shift moves the camera map system forward, and CTRL moves it back. Don't click forward 2 times. In fact, let me actually start like a deselect all night again, just so I can kind of talk about it a bit. So yeah, again, I mentioned this earlier, but let's say you need to make it to the vent system. Just press CTRL, and if you want to go back to the main area, just press Shift. If you double click, it might just confuse you, and it might make you panic. So you want to use Shift and CTRL very cleverly to bounce back instantly to where you need to be, because any map system is just a click away. I think that's something that a lot of people forget. You should never have to double click a map to go to where you need to be. It's just one click away. One click away. And the final do is conserve power where you can, but still play it safe. So what I mean by this is, we're gonna open the camera here. Of course, we're gonna turn on the power generator if we haven't already. Whenever a threat leaves and you hear that little vent banging or a door knock or a door bang or whatever, you're going to close the door pretty much immediately after you hear it, because that means the animatronic's gone. When you hear the knock, you don't need to wait. You can instantly close the door and save power. Unless you have Abigail and Tranquility on, which why would you? You're only really going to be using the flashlight for Ender and Cortez. So, let me see here. You generally don't need to be using the flashlight except for those two. One important thing to note is that you can't actually use the flashlight in the monitor. If you're in an emergency situation, like Night Marina's out and you just really need to flash Ender, you can do it in the cameras. Like, look at how I'm holding down the flashlight in the cameras and it actually does work. So I would only recommend this during desperation strats, though. It's not something that you want to rely on at all. It's also a bit finicky. Like, if you open the monitor in the center of the screen, you might not even register it. Like, you have to be on that side of the screen already before you put up the monitor. But again, it's a good desperation strat. And finally, there's the don'ts. Of course, monitor spamming, don't ever do this. Monitor spamming will get you killed by either Cortez or Spider very, very quickly. Cortez in particular will probably kill you first. There's no benefit to monitor spamming in this game, 0 benefits, so don't do it. You have a very clearly defined office phase and a very clearly defined monitor phase. You can be very flexible with both phases. I don't want to make it sound like it's rigid, but again, don't monitor spam. There's no reason for it. Don't neglect the boiler room. If the boiler goes off, if you notice your temperature is rising really quickly or you feel like you haven't checked it in a long time, definitely give the boiler room an eye, because you don't want the building to get too hot. Things get so much worse the higher the temperature is. Deal with it fast. Deal with it like it's one of the most important things, because it is. Don't completely forget about a threat. Like, every time you start a night, just kind of take a moment to think about who you have turned on and how you're going to deal with them. Because the moment you forget about a character, that's probably going to be your first cause of death. So it sounds like a really silly piece of advice, but remember who you have set on and don't just forget about... Or sometimes a character that's just very easy to forget about in the middle of the heat of the moment. Characters like Pangle are notoriously hard to remember to check on because you're preoccupied with so many other things that you forget to check on them. So yeah, it's kind of difficult to remember everything considering how much there is going on, but try to, and you'll definitely get the hang of it.
Yeah, don't be like me and forget about Drago all the time. That's not a good idea.
Yeah. Don't camp in the office or the cameras. You never ever want to spend too much time. I let the button go off. Don't ever spend too much time in either the monitor or the office space. If you spend too much time in the office, you're left very vulnerable to an extremely large variety of threats, including but not limited to Pangle, Shadows, Axie, BW1, Death Horse, all of the vent animatronics, all of the basement characters. It's pretty nasty. And if you spend too much time in the office, you're leaving yourself very vulnerable to characters like, sorry. If you spend too much time on the monitors, you leave yourself vulnerable to Ender, most notably. Ender is the big reason why you don't want to spend too much time in the monitors. If it wasn't for Ender, you'd probably be able to just keep the cameras up the whole time and not really do anything else.
Zaplord exists.
Yeah, Zaplord too. Oh yeah, I'm definitely sleeping after this. And then finally, let's talk about a classic in these types of games. Let's talk about panicking and why you shouldn't do it. If you lose your train of thought, it can feel a lot like there's too much going on, which is probably a sign that you should lower your set. But that's besides the point. If you feel like there's too much going on, just try to focus on one thing at a time. You will learn how to multitask. And again, like what I said earlier, learning to use the doors when you're in the cameras. But the best way to avoid panicking is to stay composed and focus on one thing at a time. So if you're dealing with Axie and you hear Death Horse, either just switch your attention to Death Horse or just keep your mind on Axie before switching to Death Horse. That's a very basic example, but you kind of see where I'm going with this. I mean, you will be multitasking, but you can only truly focus on one threat at a time, so do that well. Try to do that well. And that's... I think that's... That's pretty much it. Yeah. So, now we're going to do the closing part of this. I'm going to switch back to display capture. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Close that and that. So, conclusion. Closing thoughts. Where do I still have the... Oh yeah, I don't have the thing open anymore. So, that was Animator's Hell, a beginner's primer, tips, tricks, and more. I really hope you guys learned something from this. Animator's Hell is a super fucking cool game. There's a lot of things that I really love about it. I like how, just to recap a little bit, I love how skill-based it is. I love how flexible it is. I love how it doesn't feel like a simple gameplay loop, but rather like what I feel like a Five Nights at Freddy's game should have always felt like, is like you're dealing with, you're micromanaging a bunch of threats at the same time, and you're not really given any room to breathe. But it is fair. It's not cheap. Every death feels like your fault. Every death is your fault. Even if it seems like, again, you can get some kind of bad timings with the attack variants, but it's just a game that, like, it's one of those games that it knows it's hard. It knows it's really, really hard. But it also wants you to win. Like, deep under all of the character lines that are shitting on you and telling you to give up and quit and give away your heart and shit, like, I feel like the game really just encourages you to keep trying and, you know, deal with more of them at the same time the next time you play. Like, there's something about it that just encourages you. Maybe it's just the points. Maybe it's the point system. Maybe it's the, I don't know, just how fun the gameplay is, which is obviously very subjective. But I don't know. I love Animators Hell. It's my favorite FNAF fan game, and I really hope this gets some of you guys into it. If I can convince one fucking person to play this game, that's all the verification I need to be happy. So yeah, it's multifaceted. It's fast-paced. It's complex. It's got tons of charm and personality, and it's simple enough for anyone to learn, but difficult enough for anyone daring enough to challenge it to get a very satisfying, challenging experience out of it. Which is very unlike a FNAF fan game, at least in my opinion. But I digress.
This
Anyway.
game basically like kicks you in the balls 500 times, but every time you're like, oh geez, I deserve that.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is.
Yeah, the game shows you who you died to, and you're like, ah, okay, I could have done that better. I could do that better next time. That's what a game should do. Not just a Five Nights at Freddy's game, but like any game. It should be clear why you lost, and this game is amazing at doing that. It makes it feel like second nature.
That's a complaint I have with some fan games. They don't tell you why you died and what you did wrong. They just game over screen. Oh my god, my voice.
Yeah.
Don't tell me anything about what to do. Just jump, just drop me right into it. No instructions.
Yep.
There's a
So,
few
yeah.
that do it well as well, like Joy of Creation, for instance. Every time you die, you like get a tip for like the character you died to, which is a great way to kind of make
Yeah,
it
I
feel
like
a
that
bit
in a
more.
lot of fan games.
Makes
'cause-
death feel rewarding, which is I think kind of
Yeah.
important. You don't feel like you're wasting your time because you're dying, because you're learning something.
Yeah, absolutely. So, this concludes the stream. This has been FantasyJared. Thank you so much for watching. This has been an Animators Hell Beginner's Primer, and I will see you in whatever I end up doing next. Toodles!
Bye.